Welcome to Disability Books Superstar Authors. I am your host, Kelly M. Likes. Let's set the stage. I am here today wearing my favorite pumpkin color sweater. I have got a dress on that has a big yellow flower and black and white accents in the back. And of course, I'm sitting in front of my bookshelf of my favorite books. And over in the corner, I have a little fire engine. And way over there, I have a bumblebee. We are sitting here with Taryn Lagonigro. Did I get it?
You got it.
Woo! She gave
You
a
got
thumbs
it.
up. She is there. She's got these beautiful cat's eye glasses on them. They've got like this tortoise shell. They're gorgeous. Back on the wall, I see these enormous fork and spoon. It's gorgeous. I think we're going to have an amazing interview today. So, Taryn, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Glad you are here. Tell
Yep.
me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a mom to four girls. My youngest daughter was born with Down syndrome in March of 2020. So that's kind of what brought me here to this space. I always say the hardest part was she was born 2 weeks after the whole world shut down for the pandemic. So that was the
Yes.
hardest part of welcoming a child with Down syndrome. So yeah, I am an author. I work with other authors to publish through my company, Four Clovers Publishing, which is in honor of my daughters. And I love doing this work, and I'm excited to talk more today.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about your book.
Yeah, so the book that I'm talking about today is called Strong, Beautiful, Brave, and Smart. And it's a children's book that was inspired not just by my daughter, but my journey. So, it takes a reader through start to finish from pregnancy when I knew that my daughter was going to have Down syndrome through her birth, her heart surgery, and up to her going to school, which is kind of where we're at right now. It's a bit of like a take on reality because I kind of was a little bit forward thinking with the school stuff when I wrote it. But yeah, I kind of wanted to create something that a mom could. I'm really passionate about the Down syndrome diagnosis because I got that at about 13 weeks pregnant with my daughter, and it was like doom and gloom. Like my whole world was going to be over the way that they presented it. And life has been anything but. Spoiler alert. So I've been really passionate about changing that narrative for moms and providing more support for parents who get that diagnosis. So the book is in part one of those things I try to do just to show the journey of where my mindset started through, when I started to realize that my daughter was all of these wonderful things that as I got to know her. So
That is
yeah, I love it.
That is awesome. All right, you got to tell me your process. From you have this thought in your head to you hold the book in your hands. What was your process?
Yeah, I'm one of those people who gets the ideas at like 11 p.m. at night and then I fester on it. So I kind of had this idea. I had done another book called Dear Mama that's for moms. It's almost like a chicken soup for the soul. So it's letters written to moms as if they just got a diagnosis, and it's written from other moms who have children with disabilities. But I thought like there has to be something I can do with that with children. And interestingly, my cousin had just started going to school. She's actually going for architecture, but is extremely artistic. So I was like, I bet I could get her to do the illustration, and it just kind of the idea kind of like spiraled from there. So I wrote it out. I wrote the book out as kind of how I thought I saw it, and then I put like visuals next to it. And then I brought it to her to be like, is this something you think you can do? So she sent me a mock-up. She, first of all, she loved the idea. She is a college student, kind of loving the idea of having a project, and sent me a mock-up, and we kind of worked back and forth on that. And then she worked on the rest of the book. So it was probably like an 8 or 9 month project from start to finish, from when I first had the idea and kind of refined the actual text of the book. And then she needed time, obviously. Yeah. That's the hardest part of children's books is the illustration. So she needed her time, and then, got it to formatting and to print. So it came out about a year and a half ago. And it's been really fun, different angles of trying to get it out there, obviously through reading in classrooms around World Down Syndrome Day and Down Syndrome Awareness Month, which is in October. So I love when I get to read it to kids because it's really where you get these like beautiful questions and a lot of curiosity that comes out. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Awesome. Well, what advice would you give to somebody who perhaps has a disabled child and would like to write a book about them or is perhaps disabled themselves? What advice would you have to someone like that about writing a book?
I always like to think of the projects that I approach as like, what am I trying to solve or what gap am I trying to fill? So for me, that with my book, I felt like I was trying to fill this gap in a book that I would have loved to have to read to my own kids when I was pregnant with my daughter. So I think it's really that like kind of trying to hone in and niche down a little bit on the message that you're trying to get out there. And sometimes that can be just observing everyday life. I constantly have ideas now, and I try to settle them down a little bit because I can get a little bit too much with the ideas. But I think of ideas now as I watch my daughter, who's almost 6 years old, approach life, and I think, oh, what would I love for people to understand better? And I think it's one of the best ways to get through to people is through a book. And especially with a children's book, the best way I think to explain things to kids is by reading them a book. It's what I've always turned to when I'm trying to explain things to my kids. So I think just kind of observing and thinking like, what do I wish people understood about this? Or what gap do I want to fill? What is not out there right now? And how can I get that message out there through a book?
Awesome. That's brilliant. All right, Taryn, it's my favorite part of the interview. Would you please share a snippet from the book with us?
Sure. So the book it takes people through. So before my daughter could talk, we used to use some sign language, and we used to go through mantras. I am strong. I am beautiful. I am brave. I am smart, and that's where the title from the book came. So I kind of again kind of a little bit of a fictional take on reality is I am reading these mantras and she starts reading these mantras throughout different parts of her life in the book. And then we get to the point where she's going to school and I'm the one who's nervous, right? So she's excited to start school and make new friends, and it's me who's nervous. So I'll turn to that page because it's one of my favorites. So it's Rhea could see that her mama was nervous, so she put her hands on her mama's face and said, "Mama, you are strong, you are beautiful, you are brave, you are smart." And she walked off into her new classroom. And there's the visual. But yeah, it's my favorite part because it really summarizes all that she's taught me about life and just about what she's capable of. And it kind of wraps it up with like her telling me, like, please don't be nervous. I'm fine, kind of thing. And she's telling me that I'm brave and all of that. So it's my favorite little snippet of the book.
That was magical. I loved it. Like I got goosebumps and I'm like, I just love that. It was awesome. Well, Taryn, I want to say thank you for being here. Any final messages or any final thoughts you'd like to share with us?
No, just I would, encourage anybody to do it. It's no matter how long it takes you to get a book out there, get it out there. I've had things that take years to come out, and it feels like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? But it's so important, and I think especially in today's world where everything is so digital and all of that, I think we need to lean into books more than ever. So keep going, get your message out there, and tell your story.
Thank you. Thank you for being a Disability Book Week superstar author. I really appreciate meeting with you today.
Thank you.